Radhe Radhe. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. May this be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. And as we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this place as being a positive environment, open for everyone to be themselves and feel relaxed and share what's on their heart. I hope we come together as fellow students of life, looking to appreciate its beauty, deepen our connection with others, and relate what's in our minds and heart. Hello, Kolli. Welcome. I think you're the first one here. Very early. I hope those who are joining now are feeling as well as they can be feeling, despite whatever might be going on. You know, being human is hard. It's tough work. It takes a lot of humility, accountability, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of patience, a lot of trust, but all of these things get easier with time, and in this moment, you are doing enough. And hello, Studley Norwegian. Hello, Aquarius lady. Miss Mariah, you share, being a non-human is also hard. I think it's just hard to live. Yeah. Existing is difficult. Studley Norwegian, you share, takes a lot of introspection and reinspection. You are very right. Hello, Sue. Hello, 31 Planes of Existence. Welcome. I'm happy you all could join us. I look forward to the Sangha together. And since you all are so early, you know what that means. It means question of the day time for my early viewers. Today I'm wondering, how do you comfort someone who feels like they're not enough? I'm sure we've felt like that, so we know so much about what it means to experience not feeling enough. And I'm sure we know someone who goes through similar things. So I'm wondering from you, how do we be there? How do we comfort? How do we relate with? What does someone need from us who's feeling this way? I'm interested in hearing from your experience. And thank you, Studley Norwegian, for blessing us with a "you're amazing." Well, that makes 2 of us. Actually, that makes 61 of us at the moment. And very true, Bola enjoyer. Sometimes thinking about yourself too much is just as bad as having no introspection at all. It's good to have as high of a self-awareness as we can, but as low of a judgment as we can. Self-awareness is good. Judgment, not so good. Strive for the balance between these things. And hello, Sarah. Avertis, onto the question of the day. You share, remind them of the great unknown and our role in it. I like that. And I'd love for you to expand on that too. I'm glad to be in your company too, Studley Norwegian. Nick Monroe, you share that you brought them to a cemetery and let them know they are still alive and enough. Wow. I'm sure that'll be a memory they won't forget. Welcome, Garrett. Hello, Jake. Hello, Little Wing Nico. Any more ideas on how to care, comfort, be there for someone who feels unimportant, that they're not doing enough, that they're missing something? Hello, lady. I am outside, and I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Nico. A lot of hugs, says Mush. I like that. Yes. Hugs go a long way. The doctors say we need something like 8 per day. Now a beautiful flower emoji. Taps. You're wondering my thoughts on Bashar. Well, we can certainly talk about that later, but right now I want to hear from you. And Sue, you share by listening, sharing some of your experiences, helping them connect to the inner child / eternal spirit. That's beautiful. Yeah, I concur. Bubbles, you share, there's no wrong way to be you. Please be kinder to yourself. They are my friend and I love them. I like that. Dreamweaver, you share that you like helping people tap into their natural aptitude. What a great word that is, aptitude. That's beautiful. And thank you, Stephanie, for your rose. Radhe oh Radhe. I'm happy you like my mic, Sarah. Nish, you share simply listening to and understanding them. Sarah, you share that your boyfriend says that it's their own responsibility to fill that void in themselves. It's very true. Ultimately, we are the ones responsible for feeling enough, and if we rely on someone else to make us feel enough, then we depend on something that we can get within ourselves. But that's not to say being there for them isn't important either. I'm sure it would help to be an even better boyfriend, for example. Little Wing Nico, you share. Tell them that they are loved and worthy of love. And Gatal, you share. Simply enjoy their company. That's simple and efficient. And thank you, Stephanie, for another heart me. Hare Krishna. And Liddy, thank you for your rose too. I have a ding ding for you. Liddy, you share, you think, comfort them with activities to distract them and put them in a more positive mood. Indubitably, very true. Kuli, you share, help them remember who they truly are. I love that, and I love the implication that who they truly are is already enough. And thank you, Stephanie, for your hearts. Hari Om Tat Sat. Mubi, you share that you use the mantra, I am who I am and that's enough. Putting your hand to your heart every morning and night. I love that. Yes, there are a couple of Sarahs here today. And that's a great question, Marina. How to help someone move on? How do we even help ourselves move on when our heart wants what the heart wants? Ultimately, all we can do is be patient with ourselves and grieve and learn to love in different ways. Little Wing Nico, you shared that you met a Hare Krishna on the train the other day and you were mentioning me to him. Oh, that's very cool. Thank you for thinking of me. And Havertis, you share that we are all each part of something mysterious and unique, so there's no need to worry about the unknown. Thank you for expanding on that, my friend. I love that. And Kelly, you share. Help them rekindle the childlike joy they find in the area they are feeling they are not enough. Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, have a kind of curiosity and openness to explore. It's a process, a creative process even. Jake, you share, remind them to take comfort in the idea that being imperfect goes hand in hand in being perfect. I love that. Annie, you're wondering if I'm a voice artist? No, I am not. Although I like to think I could do some good voice acting for some characters. I think they should hire me for the next Mind Turtle in ASDF movies. Hello, Mind Turtle. Hello. Hello. Maybe 20% of you will get that reference. The other 80% is either too old or too young. Share a hug, shares Jason. Very simple, I like that. Mimer Bear, you share, you just spend time and make sure that they know you are stopping everything you do for them. They're worth it. Aw, I love that. And Garrett, you share, don't place any expectations on them. Just love them. Abul, you're wondering, how am I able to stream outside? It's a good question. Extension cord. Wi-Fi extender. I'm happy you like my jammies. I am wearing jammies on my pants too. And I'm jamming in them. Albertus, you are just the right oldness to understand that reference. Oh, good. Alright. Thank you everyone for exploring this question of the day with me. I think we've had a great exposition, sharing our own personal relationship with feeling not enough, and coming from that experience, I hope we all learned something from each other, in case we're ever in that scenario. All of these things apply to how to care for ourselves also when we feel like we're not enough. Just as we can be there for a friend, we can be our own friend too. Yammy in his jammies. I like that, Marcy. And Butch, you share, let them know something you truly admire about them. I like that answer too. Hello, Chloe Evans. Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Another thought, teach self-love. I like that too, so. Angie, you share that you were feeling really anxious because of an exam. Any advice on how you can stop? Well, we can let our emotions flow past us, flow through us, let them go. Trying to stop them, well, you can stop them, but from moving on. When you try to stop them, they go, okay, I'll stay here. You want me to stop moving, transitioning to something else? I'll be with you just as I am here then. The more we try to stop our emotions, the more they do stop. And therefore they can't continue to go somewhere else. So we can allow ourselves to feel this way, and they will continue to go where they need to go. Transform, transition to a new feeling. Anxiety for an exam. It sounds to me like you've placed some importance in the exam over your effort. You have been applying your best effort. And that is what it truly means to be a good student. It is your effort that will take you far in life, and not the results of it, which come and go. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's less good. But what maintains the same is your drive, your inspiration to do your best. And that's really what makes the difference in life. Therefore, withdraw your sense of self from the future. Understand that in this moment you are doing everything you can to be the best version of you, and that is enough. And Jill, thank you for your ice cream that you shared. Yum 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 yum. Radhe oh Radhe. And Brilliant Genius, thank you for your rose. Hello Night Gem. Starlight Wow, you ask how are my plans to get to India going? Really good, I think. Yesterday I just had an invitation to go to the Mahakumbha Mela and possibly go to various other places of pilgrimage sites, and that's like exactly what I want to do. Go to an ashram center. So maybe, just maybe, yeah, the universe is making arrangements for me. I just have to be open to the invitation. I'm happy you like my shirt, Auntie. Marcy, you have 2 Sangha snacks today. You are prepared. You have applesauce and yogurt with berries and granola. Those are some pretty good sweet snacks. Very healthy. I like that. And Stephen, you are wondering, hello, may you please have some advice on being paranoid or jealous or worried in your new relationship? Well, speaking of the feeling like we're not enough, sometimes jealousy or paranoia or other related synonyms can arise when we are feeling like if they are seeking something from others, does that imply that they've given up on looking for that within ourselves? It can be an insecurity because we feel like if they are having fun with another person in some way, then that means that we are unable to provide enough fun for them or enough love or emotional support. That might reflect poorly on us. But the truth is that everyone deserves to have a lovely support group. No one can be each other's husband and father and doctor and dentist and therapist and friend. We need a big support group, and we all fulfill different roles. Of course, we want to do the most that we can for someone, and that's beautiful, and I love that part of a person. We want to fulfill as many roles as we can to prove that our love is selfless for them. However, one of the best roles that you can fulfill is being trusting. That if they feel like you are truly trusting in them, now that is a great quality to have as a partner. If we trust their judgment and understand that your love is sacred, your bond is something that absolutely cannot be substituted, then they will thank you for that. If not consciously, their heart will know, their subconscious will remember that they feel allowed to explore themselves and relationships in other ways, but still always have someone to come back to without judgment. And you become an excellent partner by doing that. And thank you, Rahina, for your heart me and finger heart. There's a finger heart for you. And thank you for sharing your good night wishes, Ro. I'm glad you like my shirt, Talon. Alright, I like to start my lives with the question of the day and then a short reading. I'd love to read from another section of this book with you all, and then we can continue discussing whatever conversations that we have already planted the seeds for so far. How does that sound? I think you'll really like this reading today. I have a good feeling. I haven't read it myself, but let's see where we left off, around here. All right. Hare Krishna. This book is called In Love at Ease, Everyday Spirituality with Pramukh Swami. It's a very new book about how we can become in love at ease, just like this wonderful human being exemplified through his life. Today we're in the 5th chapter, At Ease. And here we're learning about how Swamishri was at ease, as the title suggests. Swamishri possessed great skill to switch from serious exchanges to playful moments with the sadhus and bhaktas, the monks and devotees around him. Swamishri was returning to his residence after the evening sabha, spiritual assembly in Dadar. The old lift in the even older building where Swamishri was staying always scared me. It had fenced sliding doors that made a loud screeching noise every time they were slammed shut. Oh, elevators. They're scary contraptions, aren't they? I'm sure some of you have seen those old elevators that have those fenced sliding doors. I have a lot of nightmares about elevators, although I've never been stuck in one. It was dark, stuffy, and cramped. One sadhu was the designated lift operator, which then only left room for Swamishri and 2 attendants. The rest of the sadhus would run up the narrow stone steps to reach the 3rd floor before the lift clambered its way up. Swamishri was delayed on the ground floor. As the screechy doors were about to be slammed shut, a man arrived to speak to Swamishri. He was sent by his wife and accompanied by their child and an elderly bhakta to speak with Swamishri about his alcohol abuse that resulted in violent nights at home. Unfortunately, he often beat his wife and child. Swamishri stepped out of the lift to put his hand on the man's shoulder and try to talk some sense into him. Swamishri's mood immediately shifted, and he spoke to the man for about 10 minutes in a stern and unforgiving voice. It was as if his own son had a drinking problem, his own grandson suffered at home, and his own daughter was being abused. He wanted to help and listen to the elders in the community. He wanted the man to get help and listen to the elders in the community. Meanwhile, the sadhus on the 3rd floor were growing restless. They peered down the open elevator shaft and noticed that Swamishri was in a grim mood. They had previously planned a theatrical skit, but they were now worried it seemed ill-timed. They were unsure of what to do, especially because the arrangements for the skit had already been made. Swamishri was now on his way up, so the sadhus decided to continue with their plans. When the elevator doors opened, the sadhus started mimicking the sounds and set the scene of a busy railway station in Mumbai. They imitated the voice of vendors selling peanuts, vada pav, popular Mumbai fast food item, etc. A few of the sadhus had set up small shops selling trinkets and paper products common in Mumbai train platforms. Swamishri gathered that he was expected to play along. His mood quickly changed. Krishna Priyadas Swami recalls the moment vividly. It was as if he went from one end of the spectrum to the other and then back again. He was no longer serious or upset. The transitions happened within seconds. I started to huff and puff to make the sound of a train engine. You guys are really goofing off up here. I must say that the sound of the train engine he emulated rivaled the real thing. As a musician sadhu growing up in Mumbai, in a Mumbai mandir close to one of the busiest train stations in the city, the sadhu had mastered the rhythm and tone of a train engine. I was shocked to hear him recreate it over the phone almost 25 years later. I really want to hear this now. Swamishri walked from vendor to vendor and entertained the enactment. A few of them stood up and latched on behind Swamishri with their hands on the shoulder of the person in front of them to copy train coaches attached to an engine. Krishna Priyadas Swami was at the end of the line. Swamishri chimed from the front, "Keep all the compartments safe. I am moving ahead." The sadhu answered with a salute. Swamishri's quote-unquote train chugged around and made 2 loops. As the train came to a slow halt, the sadhus realized that they had spent so much time focusing on how to begin the skit that no one had thought of a clever way to end it. Swamishri took charge. He called out boldly, "We are approaching the rail yard. All the compartments are requested to disconnect." He raised his hand in the air and signaled an end to the play. He turned around and said, "This is it. Keep smiling and enjoying the bliss of God. Akshardham, the abode of the divine, is not far. This is how you will get there." Swamishri was able to shift his frame of mind to play after having a solemn conversation mere seconds ago. Not only did he engage, but he found a way to teach at the end. For Swamishri, laughter and bliss were the perfect tools to enjoy the journey on the way to spiritual enlightenment and moksha. Swamishri was at ease enough to participate in children's games to teach mature spiritual lessons. I just love to imagine that this international spiritual teacher, the head of a huge organization, just pretends to be a train sometimes with his fellow monks. I think that's really cute. Shows how the childlike spirit is so intimately tied with spirituality. One of the most important aspects of Swamishri's playfulness was its authenticity. It was never forced because Swamishri did what felt natural. When someone tried to coerce a playful moment, Swamishri would change the topic. One morning, Swamishri was doing darshan at Ahmedabad Mandir. He came around to the back of the mandir after darshan in the central shrines. There was an entire line of sadhus and bhaktas, monks and devotees waiting for their guru's darshan. Swamishri walked by each of them smiling, joking, or placing his hands on some. I was standing there in a t-shirt and my white jabho hung over my shoulder. Swamishri noticed me and smirked. A sadhu near me tried to joke, "An American serving as your cook?" Swamishri responded, "Not a cook, a sevak. Sevaks do not have nationalities." Sevak comes from the Sanskrit word seva, meaning selfless service. I think seva is actually where we get the English word service, ultimately. I just stood there in silence as Swamishri and the sadhus next to me had a conversation about me. This continued for a minute or two. One of the sadhus nudged me. "What do you have stuffed in your mouth? Say something. Swamishri is standing in front of you. Joke with him. Create memories. You usually never run out of things to say." I was still silent, and I hope the plane passing overhead is not too loud. Swamishri interrupted. "Memories are created organically. There is no reason to force a joke just for the sake of it. You are fine the way you are, yogi. Besides, this guy beside you has enough to say for the both of you." Everyone started laughing, except for Swamishri and me. I continued to look into Swamishri's eyes as the genuine, silent version of myself. To be at ease is simply to be. There is no need to perform or project. All right. Thank you. Let's pause our reading of In Love at ease there for now. So, I thank you all, my dear viewers, for listening to the reading together. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Chugga 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 choo choo. That's my train impression. I've clearly only seen trains in TV shows like Thomas the Tank Engine. And we can open the floor up to discuss whatever it is we all wish to discuss. And thank you, John, for your rosa that you sent a minute ago as we read Hari Om Tat Sat. And John F., thank you for your heart me. Hare Krishna. Risi, thank you for your flowers too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And thank you, Madeline, for your baker's dozen worth of roses. Good evening, Ricky. I'm happy to have you here. I'm feeling well, thank you. How are you feeling? Blessed as always, I hope. I'm glad you liked the reading, Auntie. And hello, Madeline's. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Jade. Welcome. So, there were a few things that I put a pin in as we started reading. Some questions. I'm happy to go into them. For example, I'm just trying to find it. Yes, Taps, you were wondering what my thoughts were on Bashar. Bashar is this being that's channeled through a human being. I forget their name. Always Daryl, I think. Something like that. Well, who's to know for certain exactly the process of channeling? The good news is that the value of messages comes not from the authority of who is speaking and your belief in that authority. The value of a message comes from the message of itself. If you can feel like you are connecting with something that is genuinely true within your own experience, then the message speaks for itself. And from the very few clips I've listened to of Daryl Anka, thank you Rahina, channeling Bashar, I believe that regardless of who is the one speaking, the words are able to stand in their own light because they have immense value on their own. And thank you, Amanda, for your heart me. Dean Dude, thank you for being receptive to the peace that is offered here. Wild stuff is always fun to say. We are wild beings, after all. Youngblood, you are feeling blessed. Good. I'm happy to hear that. And Sue, you share that from your experience, you have had a number of channeled books that have been so helpful to you. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah. One aspect of so-called channeling is that, well, there's a kind of humility there involved. There can be. That the words I'm saying, they come from a place that's bigger than me. And I love that. I think whenever we are speaking words of wisdom, we are channeling. Because wisdom is something universal, something that extends far beyond our limited experience. It's a kind of getting in touch with our higher nature. Now, Jill, you shared that your puppy, Simon Aladdin, says hi. Your puppy's name is Simon Aladdin. I love that. Here, I have some words for Simon Aladdin. You'll understand. Now, thank you, Shakira, for your heartbeat. Welcome. You love this little spot? Yes, it's a nice spot. It's a nice little bush behind me. Well, I shouldn't say little. It's quite a big bush. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Jill, for your finger heart. Here's one for you. And for Simon Aladdin. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And I love that what you said, Stone Phoenix, about the values in the receiver. One of the most influential abilities of a spiritual message is to be able to bring out something that you forgot you already knew from your own experience. That's the greatest thing about spiritual texts. Spiritual texts don't seek to tell you anything you don't already know. Every time you read a passage and you understand it, you go, wow, it's amazing that they finally put that into words that I have been unable to recognize until now. It's like framing your own life for you. It's beautiful. Hello, Ember. Welcome. Stone Phoenix, you share that at one point in time, wisdom, how do you describe, was a natural thing and normal. And now it is only something that has been cut off from your sentence due to TikTok's limited character space. But I think I get the essence of your comment anyway. That wisdom is something that comes naturally to us. Ignorance is a construct. That which prevents us from seeing the truth is something which is unnatural to us, but still just as meant to be on this grand play and journey of life. But indeed, coming back to our original nature, deconstructing our own false preconceptions, we innately become wise. Thank you, Anazak, for your rose. Om Sum Saryaya Namaha. And the soul's journey. Thank you for your heart me and little crown. Jai Satchitanandam. Hello, Danswela. The other part of your comment came through, Stone Phoenix. And now, it is only a few that can actually change the world. We all have that capacity within ourselves. Hello, Joe Yogi. Jai Ram. And hello, the soul's journey. Hello, Gabriel. Hello, brave Bella. Indeed, we are in nature today. I'm glad you love the fit, Bella. Tiger, you're wondering, what do I think of Sadguru? I have nothing but positive things to say. He has been very influential for me. There are many ways in which He is able to put into words things that I cannot, and I deeply admire that. I was lucky to be on a podcast the other day with a disciple of Sadguru. They got to be with Sadguru physically, in person, and he was saying to me that no matter how many videos you may watch of Sadguru, in person, it's unlike anything you've ever seen or heard. The moment he walks in front of you, there's just a wave of bliss. And although I haven't experienced that, I experienced through him his sincerity, and I felt how genuine that experience was for him. And I'm very grateful that I got to feel a piece of that in his presence. Of course I remember, Bella. You said you wanted to be remembered as brave a few days ago, so that's how I'm remembering you. And thank you, Joe Yogi, for your trio of Gimme the Votes, a trio of Cloud Breaths, a trio of TikToks, a trio of community fests, a trio of ice cream cones, a trio of Cloud Breaths, another trio of Gimme the Votes, and a rose. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And thank you, The Soul's Journey. And Danny, thank you for your trio of roses too. Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Laura, thank you for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Danny, thank you for your cloud bread. Jai Hanumanji, and thank you, Giuliano, for your community fest. Welcome. Dansuela, you share that you are painting as you listen today. Oh, I am honored to be a part of the creative process. And if you feel comfortable sharing, I would always love to see a picture. Ember, you share that you made your appointment to get your driver's permit today after years of fear. That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that the spirit of courage has washed over you. I am sure that it will be a scary experience. But fortunately, that's okay. Carefulness is your best friend, and conveying to your driving instructor that you really want to be careful because you care about not hurting others on the road is important. But having a sense of ease and relaxation is also great because it helps you be even more careful. I wish all the best in that regard for you. And thank you, Isabella, for your tiny. Yippee! And Gina, thank you for your community fest. Radhe. I'm happy you like the outdoor vibes, Alan. It is true. Gotta make the most out of summer, and I always regret when I don't. Those summers that I've spent inside. As soon as fall, winter comes, I think about summer and all the adventures I could have had in nature. And hello, Sensei. You are welcome to ask some questions as always. I am not so certain that my live streaming software allows for you to come up as a guest speaker, but I'll try to echo your voice as far as I can. Brave Bella, you share that your sad summer is halfway over. Or is it halfway just begun? Many people like my outfit today, including you. Hey tonight. I'm happy to hear that, Yara. Hello, strawberries. My pants are PJs. This is actually a button-up. Yeah. I don't go to bed in these, but they are very comfy. Christy, you always think you should have been outside all summer. I'm happy to relate with you on that. I'm happy to have you here, Tova Ban, as well. And Michael, speaking of Dansuela, painting, you are cleaning up after painting while listening today. Perfectly balanced, as all things are. And thank you, strawberries, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, Small. And thank you, Yara, for your rose. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And thank you, Lori, for your heart me and Tiny Tiny. Yahoo! And thank you, Brave Bella, for your finger heart. There's one for you too. Hello, Hanukkah. It's 3:45 in the morning and your alarm is at 8:30 in the morning. So you can't stay long, but hi to me. Well, thank you for saying hi. I hope that this place is relaxing enough to get into a nice mood for sleep. Dansuela, you call it dopamine dressing. Two vastly different colorful prints. I love that, dopamine dressing. I've never heard of that. Now, Bree, you're wondering if I believe in synchronicity. Your intuition has been amplified lately. Well, I love that an inner voice of reason has been calling you to make decisions that you feel empowered to do so. I don't know about synchronicity or coincidence or what even the difference between them is besides the sentiment that we carry. With a coincidence, we might chalk it up to random chance, but with synchronicity, we feel like we're on the right path. And it's the sentiment that's important, rather than the physical validity behind these words. If you feel like it is no mistake that two things have aligned in your life at the same time, that's wonderful. I'm really happy you feel that way, and I believe we should feel like that. Now, Sensei, you are wondering, what can I say about soulmates and twin flames? The soul is your mate. Can anyone tell me how many souls there are in the universe? Does anyone know the exact number? I'm asking all of you. This will lead into the answer. D to infinity got it immediately. So did Small and J. There is one soul. Your soul is actually the same soul as my soul. This is what we mean by universal consciousness. Consciousness and soul are interchangeable. Therefore, whenever you find deep, unconditional love with anyone, they become your soulmate because you're able to mate with their soul. You're able to connect at the deepest level of your being. In this way, everyone that you're able to connect with is your soulmate. In fact, many different people in your life can be your soulmate because you're able to connect with their soul at this moment and their soul in a different body in another moment, etc. In fact, everyone has the same soulmate, and that's each other. The same mate as your very own self as well. Now, that's the nature of the soulmate. But what about twin flames? Twin flames have to do with the flow of your own soul, the flow of your own consciousness. When your own consciousness flows outward, we call that Shakti. That's one of the twin flames. When your own consciousness flows inward, we call that Shiva, the other of the twin flames. So our twin flames are ways in which we direct our consciousness, our spirit. To marry your twin flames just means that you bring both of them in balance, that you are just as much flowing outward into the world like Shakti as you are flowing into yourself as Shiva. Sometimes the idea of a twin flame can be associated with another person. You might hear people being called each other's twin flame. This is poetry. It's actually a really beautiful kind of relationship. Because what we're saying is that we balance each other's twin flames. That I might be more like Shakti than Shiva, and you might be more like Shiva than Shakti. And so we inadvertently marry each other's twin flames. Therefore, whatever you are lacking, they make up for. So they complement this flow of consciousness. But both twin flames are inside you as they are inside them. When we bring together the masculine and feminine, the Shiva and the Shakti, that happens within you and it happens within your partner individually. Actually, it's not like one partner is masculine and the other is feminine. It's that one partner might have an imbalance of masculinity to femininity, and the other has the complementary imbalance. And so together, each of your dualities are balanced. In this way, everyone is your soulmate, and your twin flames are inside you. Thank you, Strawberries, for your 10 roses you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Tiger, for your rose too. And your pair of roses as well as another rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Anazek, thank you for your 9 roses. Hare Krishna. And thank you, Tatvamasi, for your 5 roses too. This is the ancient view of soulmates and twin flames. In modern times, you might hear other people talking about them as other people. Or you might even talk about souls as being distinct from one another. But this is a consequence of our individualistic society we have in the West, where we feel like we are a different being than another person. But if we dial back the time, or even see what's being shared in ancient lineages today or indigenous societies, there has always been one soul that we are all a part of, one great field of consciousness. And it is within that one that we find love. And we have many partners through lifetimes and lifetimes. And they are all different ways in which we connect with our own universal field of consciousness through another body, another mind. Glitter Parade, you might be using the term twin flame in a different way that I am. You might be using it in a way that you're really connected with another person, and that's beautiful. But if we want to be precise about the ancient usage of this term twin flame, it refers to Shiva and Shakti, the two flames of outward flowing consciousness and inward flowing consciousness. Thank you, Tiger, for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roses. Radhe or Radhe. Tiger, you are wondering, what kind of yoga and meditation can I give you all? The best kind of meditation is no meditation. See, meditation has become a stereotype that we sit down, cross our legs, put our hands in our lap, and we focus on our breath in order to become one with ourselves. But if you have to distance yourself from the world to feel how you truly are, then how will we be how we truly are when we are within the world and interacting and connecting with it? That is why I believe that our first priority on the spiritual path is to become meditative in everything that you do. And that's one of the yogas called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the yoga of action. Yoga being the Sanskrit word for union. If we feel one with our action, then everything becomes a meditation. Whether you're eating or laughing or even crying or listening or speaking or driving or working. What it means to be one with your action, it means that you give your full sense of self into the action without worrying about if it engages yourself in a positive or negative outcome later. As long as you are doing your best in this moment, then that is what it means to be present. If we are worrying about whether our actions lead to something positive or negative, then we won't truly be here, where all the action takes place. This is the spirit of Karma Yoga, action union, where we become meditative and everything we do becomes an offering to the universe. Thank you, Ember, for your finger heart and your 9 roses. Hare Krishna. And Gina, thank you for your Heart Me and Community Fest. Radhe or Radhe. Thank you, Hanaka, for your quartet of roses. And Rob P, thank you for your rose too. Jai Sita Ram. And thank you, Everett, for your 6 roses. Since you're wondering, do we always reincarnate in the same race? Can we reincarnate in another planet? In the 8th chapter, the 6th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, it describes exactly what it takes to reincarnate into anything. And that is, whatever body fulfills your last persisting thought at the moment of death. Consider your last thought like the final arrow that your consciousness can point to. Because all thoughts are arrows. They're directions which can take your consciousness to new places, to new experiences. We don't always have to follow every thought, but our last thought is the last direction we can go in a life. In this way, it's very likely that we often do become similar to what we were in our previous life, but it's not always the case. For example, heterosexual lovers often switch genders each lifetime because their last thought is looking into a female face when we are male. Our last thought takes us to the femininity in our next life. So too, we could be thinking about another race, another culture that would best fulfill our desires that we were unable to embody in this life, and thus we transition to another race as well, or even another species. There's really no limit. All it takes is a body that is best suited to fulfill whatever your last thought was. This is what it means when the ancient rishis, the seers of the Sanatana Dharma, humanity's oldest spiritual practice, say that the soul has no gender, the soul has no ethnicity, the soul has no nationality, because in each lifetime we change one or all of those things. So in this lifetime, we also shouldn't be so worried about our own gender, our own race, our own nationality, because that's just for this lifetime. It may very well change in the next. And thank you, Mahina, for your 18 roses. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Diana, for your heart me too. We're getting lots of questions today. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Dr. Ahau, for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. And Tiger, thank you for your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 roses. Thank you. Om Krim Kalikaye Namaha. Brave Bella, you share that you feel like you're too attached to your identity. Well, there's always ways to be more inclusive with our sense of self. We can fall in love with more ways of being, and although we are stuck in this body for this lifetime, that doesn't mean we can't appreciate other people's identities and live vicariously through them also. Athena, you are wondering, what are my thoughts on soul contracts? Are they real? This is exactly what we were talking about, the last thought. Your last thought is what dictates the karma of your next life, primarily, what body you engage in, where you're born. So you could say that this body is contractually obligated to fill out the last thought that your soul had experienced in their previous lifetime. Maybe their last thought is, I really wanted to create that business idea that I never got around to do it. They kick the bucket. Now in their next lifetime, that's the thought that they follow into their next form of consciousness. And so they have an inclination towards that. They have this aspiration out of nowhere that this is what they want to do with their life. But there's an exceptional clause to the contract. A human life is unique compared to all other bodies. In any other body, you have to fulfill the contract. That the Dharma, it's called the Dharma, the duty of an animal has to be fulfilled by that animal. And the duty of a Deva, a higher being, also has to be fulfilled. But a human being, they can rip their contract up at any time. Why? That is what makes humans special, is their buddhi. Their intellect can change the manas, their mind, at any time, although it's difficult. Changing your mind is not easy, but it's possible within a human life. Therefore, regardless of your original aspirations in life, you are always welcome to change what you feel obligated to serve. That is the beauty of humanity, is that our identity is malleable. We can constantly evolve it into newer and bigger things. Thank you, Beach, for your heart me. Radhe or Radhe. Tiger, I'm not sure which of these roses I haven't acknowledged yet, but I at least thank you for another pair, another 51, and another half dozen and 104. Certainly enough roses for all of us to take one home each. So thank you for that. Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Thank you, John F., for your tiny and a friendship necklace. Hare Krishna. Brave Bella, thank you for your trio of finger hearts. Here. There. There's a trio of finger hearts for you. And Indigo Sky Marble, thank you for your trio of roses too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, friends, for your rose as well. Radhe Radhe. And Sensei, you ask, do I believe in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, guiding souls to not reincarnate? This is called Nirvana, which is an escape to the cycle of reincarnation. I believe that we should take this verse very metaphorically, because consciousness, in my opinion, is always destined to have a new form. But what truly reincarnates is not the consciousness, it's the form. The form changes, consciousness is ever the same. What we can do is finally withdraw our sense of self so that we don't get sucked into each identity lifetime after lifetime. That in this material world, this Maya, this samsara, this world of forms, lifetime after lifetime, we feel like this is who we are, and then we get taken from it, and we suffer, and we have to adapt to a new identity, and this is who we are, and then we get taken from that, and we suffer. So it's not the continual births and deaths that causes us suffering, it's the attachment to each birth and death, the attachment to each birth and the resistance of each death. But if you finally withdraw your sense of self, then you can have as many lifetimes as you want, but you are free from samsara because you attained an inner peace of nirvana, transcendental to the material world. Your Atman, your true self, has finally merged, reconnected with Brahman, the true ultimate reality beyond the world of forms. And G to Infinity, you share that you think we all want to hang out in my mom's magical garden. And we all are in our mother's magical garden. We just have to expand our sense of motherhood and expand our sense of self. My mother has always been the mother to everyone in my life. Anyone can call her mom. And you may feel through this virtual experience that you are one in this garden also. But Mother Nature's garden is all around us, and you are constantly in her garden. Hi, Mom. People are admiring your garden and you put so much work into. Would you say hi? Thank you.
I can't see them. Oh, there they are. Hello, lovely humans. It's nice to see you. I just want you to remember that you are loved and you are gorgeous and you are enough and you're more than enough. And if no one's told you that, Mama Moon had to tell you that today. And yeah, and this one is such a blessing. And
Thank you.
You are a blessing. And all of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, I don't know where it comes from sometimes. Like, I have absolutely no idea. He is the biggest gift, the biggest blessing, the biggest treasure. And at the same time, I learned so much from him, but he's still human. He's still Liam. He's still Yam. But it's all within you as well. All of it. It's all inside of it. I'm sure every time you hear something that you like, it resonates because, yeah, anyhow. It's not all from me. Trust me. Today's your birthday. Happy birthday, Beanbag. I like that name. I didn't create him. Liam was a gift. He was like, I came out of here somehow, but I don't know. He's just a gift. Yeah.
Thank you for creating my body.
Thank you.
And for raising my mind.
Thanks for being you. Okay, love you guys. See you later. This is the climbing hydrangea, and it's climbing all over me. Bye.
Bye. And what is this?
It is a flower. You told me once not to name them.
All right. A flower.
It is a gift.
Here, where can I balance it? There. She's lovely, isn't she? Yes, happy birthday, Beanbag. Thank you, Tiger, for another 100 roses and a finger heart, a tiny, yippee, and your trio of disco loves and a tiger. Hare Krishna. And Tibishore, thank you for your heart, me. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Gina, for your rose too. And Nako, sodium potassinate. No, that's not an element, isn't it? Is it? Thank you for your flowers, though. Thank you, Brandon Rogers, for your hand hearts. Here's some for you. And thank you for the let 'em cook. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. And Sue, thank you for your tiny diny. Yahoo! Dreamweaver, you share that my mom looks like an elvish goddess. She's a very mystical creature, isn't she? Good night, dear Chloe. Thank you for stopping by. Very funny, Tatvamasi. I think my mom would beat me up if no, she would never beat me up, but she does not like her age being revealed. But I say she looks like she's getting younger every day, and I can't quite figure out why that is. Tiger, you would like me to tell you all something about the creator of the universe. Creator is a job title. In the Hindu tradition, it's given to different beings, universe after universe, that each universe has its own creator. And the job title of creator is given to souls. Yes, we talked about the indivisibility of souls earlier. That's the concept of the soul known as Atma, the undivided soul. But the undivided soul can have packaging, and the packaging makes it known as an individual soul called a jiva, or a jivatma. Different jivatmas get the role of creator of the universe, depending on their karmas, their actions. For example, it is said that our current creator was a human being in their last life. Their last life meaning in the last universe. And there's a story that says that in this universe, the creator has vowed to being a blade of grass in their next life. That the creator would prefer to be a blade of grass, stepped on by cows specifically in their next life. That's a lovely story. We could go into that story as per why the creator made that vow. But the job title is called Brahma. Brahma means that which emerges from Brahman. Brahman means the ultimate reality. It is the background layer of everything. You could consider it as the nothingness before which everything follows. Somehow that nothingness gives rise to an ability to create a somethingness. And that ability is called Brahma. Who gives the title? We do, interestingly enough, by our own karma. If we wish to be Brahma, just as the Bhagavad Gita 6th verse of the 8th chapter tells us, we just have to keep that thought in mind at the time of death, that we wish to be in charge of a whole universe ourselves. There are many universes called Brahmandas in the Sanatana Dharmic tradition. Each universe has its own creator, and because there's infinite space, there's always another dimension to host another universe. So there's no shortage of real estate. But although it sounds like a magnificent thing to do, Brahmas, they still have beginnings and ends. They are born with the universe and also go down as the captain of the ship. So they're not immortal. They have lifetimes on the span of trillions of years, certainly. But still they have to face their own mortality and all of their own neuroses and fears that are associated with that. There are many stories of creators having to face their own mortality and actually being scared, just like us beings. A human being is the highest of all life forms, higher than that of even creator, when it comes to spiritual liberation, that the kind of peace a human being can have, it is the ultimate kind of peace. The only life form that's capable of becoming enlightened is a human being. Not even Brahma, the creator, can experience enlightenment until a future lifetime when they finally return to being human once more. Tiger, you ask, so who is God, the one and only? If the creator isn't God in this tradition, mind you, there are ways of understanding the creator as the ultimate reality, like they do in Abrahamic traditions. This is not to contradict other religions, by the way. There's just a different way in which we use these words. But in this tradition, there kind of is no God, which is fascinating. There is just a cosmic nothingness that we call Brahman, and that sometimes gets translated to God or Godhead. But all divine manifestations, they come from that Brahman, that one, including us. We are all manifestations of that one. But is there one being that's greater than all other beings? If there is one, then it's Brahman. But can you really call it a being when it's not personal? It's the impersonal void from which everything has arisen. It's fascinating. It's almost like a scientific spirituality, where we recognize nothingness as the highest concept. And from this nothingness, various divinities have arisen. But even those divinities eventually merge back into that nothingness in the dissolution of the universe. And thank you, Omar, for your 11 roses. Om Shrim Mahalakshmi Namaha. And thank you, Bella, for your flowers. Hari Om Tat Sat. Brave Bella. And Omar, thank you for the hat and mustache too. And thank you, Corey, for your heart me. Jai Sita Ram. And Dob Darker, thank you for your heart me. And Giggly Gorgeous, thank you for your heart me. And 37 roses. Andrew, you ask a relevant question. What do you think about the being empty? Emptiness just means a kind of openness, doesn't it? Like if you want to fall in love with someone, we hope that they have some emotional emptiness, some availability for our own emotions. Without that, how can there be room for presence? This is the same concept of Brahman, is the ultimate openness, the ultimate spaciousness. If one is really empty, it means they're open for something new. Patience is a virtue, and when we are feeling empty, we can recognize it as the spaciousness of our own being. And that's a beautiful thing. We sometimes use feeling empty as a negative thing. But in Buddhism, for example, that's the goal of meditation. Feeling emptiness. Feeling pure openness. Feeling that space, that sky. Because sky is spacious. Sky doesn't come in one form or another. There is just sky. Becoming broken open. Yes, I love that, Mahina. Thank you, M, for your 3 roses. Hare Krishna. Good night, Annika. You are apologizing for going to sleep earlier? Oh, you should thank yourself for going to sleep earlier. I'm happy to hear that, but it's nice to see you. And thank you, Corin, for your heart me and pair of roses too. Yes, I like that, Kelsey. To quiet the mind is to become the observer. And Alexander, you share the abyss we confuse with the blissful void. I like that. Yeah. Dragan, you're wondering, who is my guru? Who is my spiritual teacher? Well, in terms of a person right now, I don't have an answer for you. But if we break down the word guru, gu referring to darkness, ru referring to the dissolver of, literally becoming guru, the dissolver of ignorance. Right now, many pieces of my experience fulfill that role. For example, I am humbled by my mother. She's very humbling. I am humbled by all of you. I learned so many things through prayer and through meditation. In this way, I feel a spiritual teacher in everything and everyone, but I would be honored to call one my own one day. Bye-bye, Hanukkah. Aquarius lady, you share my energy makes you so happy. Well, all my happiness is yours. Yeah, I hope to give it to you somehow. I don't know how exactly, but it's my intention that I don't want this happiness by myself. What good is happiness if only I can feel it, right? I want all of you to have it. Now, Eric and Binder, you're both wondering what happened to my videos. I would politely direct you to my Linktree in my bio where there's a frequently asked questions page. And I hope the answer there is sufficient. And if you have any follow-up questions, I'd love to answer here. And Geomarky, you're wondering, if there's any thoughts on reconnecting with past lives? Well, the good news is you don't have to be the fullest version of yourself. Your present life is your present life for a reason. This is the life you have to live. What's in the past is in the past, and it's already come to rest. You are the physical embodiment of everything you've done prior. You are the product of all past lives in this life. We choose our next life's body through all of the actions we construct with in our day, in our life. Every action, every thought begins putting together, atom by atom, our next body. Where you find yourself in this life, what parents, what body, what geography, all of that is the very result of everything we've done in our past life also. It is our prarabdha karma, which means the karma that unfolds from birth, arising from our samskars, the impressions remaining in our past life. What does my microphone smell like? Asks Chaos. It smells like feet, because the sock has been on my foot. But it's my own foot, so whatever. Did I finally wander into the jungle? Asks Eric. Oh, one day, but this is the little portion of the jungle I have in my mother's backyard. Wojak, you have a request. Well, please feel free to share it. Nasu, you ask, what suggestions do I have for being mindful in daily actions? To be mindful in daily actions means that all of our duties is a gift, and all of the results we were not entitled to. That the gift of life is to engage with it, not to be rewarded for doing so. The reward is the action in and of itself. Don't believe me? Well, suppose that you were taken from this life. Imagine that you were put in jail, or that you were put into some void for 1 billion, 1 trillion years, and you couldn't do nothing. Coming back to Earth, my goodness, you'd be kissing the sidewalk. You would love to have another day just to wash dishes, or take care of your children, or go to work. All it takes is to put it into perspective that the mundane things in life are truly precious. It's when we feel like we're working towards a happiness that's not quite here. Then we put our sense of self in the future, and we do not take into consideration how precious this moment and all of its actions are. If we can understand that all of our actions in this moment are our only possessions, our only possession in life is the opportunity to engage, to continue to be selfless, to serve others. And you have no choice but to be mindful, because the entirety of your mind is dedicated to what's here, what's now, full of the present moment, feeling that wholeness. Carly, you're wondering, do I think we'll each have a final life where we can go home? You are already home, my dear. In spirit, you are there. In the world, Mother Nature is our womb. It's really sad. We have forgotten that although the source is our father, the universe is our mother. Why are we trying to leave our mother? We call her so many words like matrix, like Maya. But these words come from words that mean mother. Matrix comes from matriarch. Maya comes from Mata. mother. Matter is related to mother. Maternal is related to material. You could see this world as a matrix, as a Maya. We could see it as material and full of matter. But it's also our mother. It is our maternal world. She is our womb. You are home in her. We still call her Mother Nature. You are home on earth. You are home in your soul. You are home wherever you go, because this universe is yours, and you are the universe's. Thank you, Pivotal Intent, for your rose. Radhe, oh Radhe. And Jacqueline, thank you for your finger heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. And MJ, thank you for your hand hearts. Jai Siddharam. Matter, Mother, Father, Ether, we are the children. I love that cat. Shakira, you share, today's the first day you see my resemblance with Lord. Can I sing a little song? Well, I don't know if I know any of her songs. But I can always sing you a mantra. Om Kali Kali Ke Parameshvari Sarvananda Kare Devi Narayani Namostute. That means, oh Mother, to thee you are the whole universe, the mover of the cosmos. You are the giver of bliss. My salutations to thee. I love you too, Arya. You'll definitely be in tomorrow, but for now, you have to go shill your spiritually based music album. Well, I love that you infuse your spirituality in your music, and that you decorate your spirituality with such musical melodies. That's wonderful. I love to hear that. Haley, you're wondering, what is my astrological sign? Top 3. Well, I'll tell it to you from the Vedic perspective. From Vedic astrology, we are born to one sign, but as we learn to appreciate other people and their expression in this life, we become their sign also. When we have a healthy relationship with our mother and father, then we become their signs also. All of our friends are too, our loved ones. We begin to take on their sign. And the goal in Vedic astrology is to become all the signs, at least by the end of your life. At the end of your life, you are complete in all of the different aspects. So, although I was born into Libra being my sun sign, I've had many other people teach me the values of the sign that they're born into, and now nobody can guess my sign because I'm all of them. Just as you are all of them too. You are born under every star, every planet. Thank you, Kiroronov, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Shakira, for your rose too. And Viri, thank you for your heart me. Jai Sita Ram. Matt Pidge, thank you for your heart me and flowers. Sum Soryaya Namaha. Thank you, Arya. I pray that your music touches all the ears that they lay upon. Eagle, you're wondering if I'm a Krishna devotee. I have lots of devotion for Krishna, indeed. What's my moon sign? Asks Kate. Whatever sign the moon is currently in, whatever sign the sun is currently in, these are my signs. We are adaptable, evolving creatures. We might have a particular form of expression destined at birth, but every time the moon changes its constellation, we change with it also. Nobody is fixed in their ways. We can transcend whatever karma we've allotted at birth. We are not defined by this body, this mind. We are beyond stars and the planets, the moon and the sun. In our individualist society, if we forget our wholeness of our identity, we can become very attached to one particular identity without realizing that you have none. We are not this body, therefore we are not our star sign. We are not our gender. And in a human life especially, we have the ability to transcend all of this karma, go right to the source, which is one with everything. Now I'd like to read from another section of the pocket Pema Chodron, as she is so lovely, and her wisdom speaks to so many universal truths. We've read so many of her passages that now I've had to keep track of what we haven't read so far. So, let's narrow down the various passages that we have yet to read of Pema's. Today, let us read verse 8. Allow me to flip to such. Verse 8 is called Difficulty is Inevitable. On a very basic level, all beings think that they should be happy. When life becomes difficult or painful, we feel that something has gone wrong. According to the Buddhist teachings, difficulty is inevitable in human life. For one thing, we cannot escape the reality of death, but there are also the realities of aging, of illness, of not getting what we want, and of getting what we don't want. These kinds of difficulties are facts of life. Even if you were the Buddha himself, if you were a fully enlightened person, you would still experience death, illness, aging, and sorrow at losing what you love. All of these things would happen to you. If you got burnt or cut, it would hurt. But the Buddhist teachings also say that this is not really what causes misery in our lives. What causes misery is always trying to get away from the facts of life, always trying to avoid pain and seek happiness. This sense of ours, that there could be lasting security and happiness available to us if we could only do the right thing. It is so basic in us to feel that things should go well for us, and that if we start to feel depressed, lonely, or inadequate, there's been some kind of mistake, or we've lost it. In reality, when you feel depressed, lonely, betrayed, or any unwanted feelings, this is an important moment on the spiritual path. This is when real transformation can take place. Trust in the process. You are just as whole now as you'll ever be. There's no one to be other than the one you are already. Thank you for listening with me. That was number 8. Difficulties are inevitable. The more we can embrace difficulties, the more we can use them as opportunities to transform. She really tells it like it is, shares Shakira. She also calls you out all the time. You love her for it. Buddhists are great at telling you what you don't want to hear, but what you need to hear. But in a way that's respectable. I could really learn from that. I think no one else could look you dead in the eyes and with a heart full of love say, give up. Yeah, just give up. No need to have hope. Difficulties are inevitable. Suffering is a part of life. If any one of us said this to someone else, it would make the other person feel terrible, wouldn't it? But when a Buddhist says it, suddenly it's like, there's something peaceful about that. Maybe because they're so peaceful too. And clearly, if they're able to experience this whilst also being peaceful, then these ideas are not going to take us away from our own peace either. Katie Pond, you're wondering if I can read that last line again. Just for you, I will. This is when real transformation can take place. The second to last line was, in reality, when you feel depressed, lonely, betrayed, or any unwanted feelings, this is an important moment on the spiritual path. Will, you share that you think you often look back on periods of your life as good times, so to speak, but you never realize when you're in them. Yeah. Dansuela, you share that she knows how to decipher the difficult tasks to make them a soft place to land if you face it. That's a wonderful way of putting it, and I agree. MJ, you share, if only we could teach this to our children in school. You are forgetting. It is the children that teach us how to live in the moment. We might have all the worldly scientific knowledge as adults, but children have all of the emotional and spiritual knowledge. We learn these things from them. In fact, the best spiritual teacher that one can have in their life is their child. I believe that for the world to become a better place, for children to grow up to be better adults, we need to start looking at the children for advice. Instead of having a bunch of children in a room being talked down to from one adult, let's have a bunch of adults in the room being talked up to by one child. Sometimes we just need to hear that we need to have fun, play with our toys, make friends, simple facts of life. Children are not born ignorant of spirit. They may be ignorant of the world, but as we age, we become ignorant of spirit, but knowledgeable of the world. Mahimna, you share that your grandson teaches you what you don't see. Your youngest son does that as well. Cruise Kitty, you're wondering, why do we lose that as we age? It's the serpent getting us to eat the forbidden fruit. That's the Garden of Eden, our childhood. The serpent is fellow adults saying, hey, you want to know how to really be happy? Don't you realize you're so vulnerable thinking like this? That's what adults do. Can't you see? You need to protect yourself. The world is a scary place. You gotta grow up. You gotta realize that there's good and there's bad, and you gotta know the difference. And we, naive, we go along with their temptation. We grow up. We start becoming defensive, sheltering our sense of self. We start looking for danger everywhere, wondering what is good, what is bad. But this was not the way we lived in the Garden of Eden. In the garden of our childhood, we walked with the divine. We were naked, we were vulnerable, and we didn't care because we were being protected. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being vulnerable, but somehow we have been taught that by our elders. To return to the Garden of Eden means to grow down. We don't wisen with age. We get wiser by going back into our younger, more vulnerable sense of self, where we see everyone around us as someone who's a possible friend to be made. There is no good, there is no evil, and there is no telling the difference. There's only possibilities of love, laughter, and tears, and it's all part of the story. And thank you, Jarrett, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. I love this, Finn. You are translating this into some video game vernacular. Why look for the golden scar when the gray pistol is right in front of us? We don't get more wins by looking for opponents. We get more wins by teaming up in squads to get the victory royale. I love that. George, you share that you raise your daughter with patience and love, the most important things. Or is your daughter raising you with the opportunity to give patience and love. I think that's from her, my dear. Oh, the divine is such a partaker in benevolent mischief. I love that, Katie. It's funny. So much of the first part of life is learning new things. And then the second part of life is unlearning old things. See, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But you can help them unlearn their old ones. Kayla, you shared that your kids let you be a kid again. I've always loved that about my parents. Is that whenever SpongeBob was on the TV, my dad would sit down and watch it with me, and we'd laugh together, and we'd talk about it. And whenever we played, it never felt like something he had to do. It was something that he really wanted to do. I genuinely felt like I had a friend my age there, and he was able to get back into his 5-year-old self with me, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, And still to this day, when I bring up the things we did as a kid, he never said, "You're welcome." It was always a kind of gratitude, and he said, "I really liked playing with you." And we still do. Katie, you ask, how do you keep a positive mindset and shift your focus on the good instead of the bad? Right now, we frame the world into these two categories: good, bad. What if I told you the bad does not exist, but there is something that does exist in place of bad, and it's not good? I'm not here to tell you that everything is good. I'm here to tell you that everything is good, or has unmanifest potential to be good. Try it out for yourself. Whenever you think of something bad, what we're really observing is the possibility for goodness. It's all there. The capacity is there. The potential. It's just unmanifest. It's latent. It hasn't come to the surface. Like, for instance, there's good people. There's people that are doing their best. And there's other people that have the capacity to be better. They might be unkind, they might be impatient. So there's the potential for goodness there. If we can remember this, then we can recognize goodness everywhere. There's either good that is manifest and good that is unmanifest. There's good in the world and good in heaven. I'd like to change everyone's perception on what heaven means. The kingdom of God is the place of all potential, where divine will is already there, but has yet to become manifest in the world. Whenever you see goodness in the world, that means heaven has become manifest there. And wherever there is an absence of good in the world, it means you are seeing heaven, but it has yet to be enacted in the world. So there is the world and there is heaven. And there is goodness in the world and goodness in heaven. But the goodness in heaven has yet to reach all the places in the world. That is where we come in. If it is our ability to do so. If we have been given the opportunity to bring out goodness, then that is the divine will that we have been attributed with to enact. When we say we are servants of the divine, what we practically mean is that we must bring out the goodness everywhere we go, because the goodness is the divine. It can't come out on its own. It's shy. As everyone knows, the divine is very shy. It requires us. We are the extrovert. The divine is the introvert. The divine is the inner being. We are the outer being in this body. We have to bring out the divine. We have to unfold it, and that's a gift. Because that means we get to become privy. We get to witness the beauty unfold before us. That's an honor. That is a grace. And thank you, Jameson, for your wonderful perfume. I imagine it smells just as wonderful as the garden around me. Om Mani Padme Hum. Yes, MJ. Our purpose is to empower, and we are empowered with this purpose. Since we are part of the world, part of the potency, we are here to bring out the potential. We are here to enact the divine will and bring the kingdom of heaven to the world. What does that mean? Some people believe that bringing the kingdom of heaven means to share holy scriptures and incorporate others in your religion. But it goes far beyond scripture, far beyond religion. It has to do with bringing out the goodness in everything around us, including ourselves. And the qualities in ourselves that we are here to bring out are patience and kindness, acceptance, peacefulness. The more we energize ourselves with these qualities, the more we can become the interface between heaven and earth. We are in heaven looking out at the world. It's true. We're not actually in the world. The world's all around us. The world is what surrounds heaven. But we are in it. We are in heaven, and we look out at the world. And the further you look out, the more it becomes like hell. That there's suffering in places that are really far. But when we bring ourselves to that suffering, we bring heaven to the world, to hell. Unfortunately, some of us are living in that hell, even though we're actually in heaven. We've put our sense of self when we've thrown it in front of us, which is a logical error. Because if we are in heaven and hell is in front of us, then if you're suffering, it means you've placed your sense of self in something in front of you instead of something inside you. To ascend into heaven means that we withdraw our spirit back into our essence. Practically speaking, it means we detach ourselves from the objects of the world. We become content regardless of how much money we have, regardless of how big our home is, regardless of our relationship status, regardless of our intellectual certifications. We withdraw our spirit from the world and ascend into the heaven that you embody, the level of consciousness. This is the spiritual path. Liz, you share that you'll give everyone hell. Oh, be kind to yourself, dear. In all the time you have spent here, I have only received love from you. If that's what hell is, well, then I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Gab, for your trio of roses. Radhe, oh Radhe. Hello, Marlon. And thank you, Mahina, for your 22 roses and your coral. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Chaos Queen, thank you for your heart me. Now, why don't we read from a poem? Many of you might have heard of Rumi before. He's a wonderful Sufi poet from the 1200s. Thank you, Linda, for your 54 roses. Hare Krishna. I would love to read a poem from this Sufi mystic with you all, just as a little interim. I think that'd be a nice segment. Oh, we read this one before, actually. Let's read the one on the other page, called The Hiding Place. A nice short one. The Hiding Place by Rumi. The most secure place to hide a treasure of gold is in some desolate, unnoticed place. Why would anyone hide treasure in plain sight? And so, it is said, joy is hidden beneath sorrow. Just a nice short one. And that goes into what we were talking about too. The best place for the kingdom of heaven to be is to be within, in the most secure and sacred place of all. The place where no person will go looking until their last right. The place that they have forgotten to look all along. Within themselves. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Marina the Mermaid, for your heart me. You must be at home with the gift of coral that was sent by Mahina earlier. Thank you, Marina. And what a perfect name for a mermaid, Marina. Thank you for your quartet of roses too. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Annie MJ, thank you for your rose. Gina, thank you for another rose too. And Chaos Queen, thank you for your heart me. Emma Solisja, you would like me to please tell you something positive you're dealing with. TikTok is giving legs, trying to watch me. in a leg, there is an opportunity for patience. It's an opportunity to pay attention to the words that we have access to. As they become more precious, as they become scarce, instead of paying attention to my words, pay attention to my sentiment. And that will last with you between the words, and even when I'm not live. The truth of what I share is not in the words that I use, and it's not in me either. It's in the spirit that is conveyed by the words, and if you listen to that, you'll hear it always. And thank you, Aaron, for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Glitter Parade, thank you for your hanging lights. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Thank you for your bubble tea too. Yes, dear Marlin, what is your question? And Katie Pond, you're wondering, what is a yam? It is a tuber. Just like sweet potatoes are a kind of tuber. Tubers contain potatoes. They grow in the ground. I am sorry for the leg, though. If I could make sure our connection was stable, I would. But above all, let the connection of our hearts be maintained regardless of technical difficulties. Marlin, you are wondering how you can forgive someone who in some way has betrayed you. You have asked questions relating to this for months now. Sounds like it's something you're really struggling with. As I've said before, if you don't feel ready to forgive, that's okay. If you are still processing the feelings, then please forgive yourself for needing to process that. Forgiveness takes a lot of introspection, and that takes time. And as I mentioned the first time you asked this a few months ago, oftentimes what we feel as betrayal is in one part our own expectation that went unfulfilled, and in a second part is their own self-betrayal. That we have placed expectations on them, which ultimately went unfulfilled, and they have betrayed themselves in the process. So I hope that they can learn to forgive themselves too, because if they inflict harm on you based on what suffering they're going through personally, then all we can hope is that the suffering that they're going through is something that they're able to work through as well. Whenever pain is passed on, we infer a little bit about what they're going through too. Although it's immature, it's a common way to feel like you're understood, which is to make others go through similar pain that you are going through. Emotional intelligence means there's other ways to do this. But in the case that people are not quite at that level of emotional intelligence, we can still infer about what they must be going through for them to pass this pain on to us. And we can empathize with that. That doesn't make what they did right in any way, but at the very least we can help understand them by letting go. Recognizing that whatever circumstance they are in to act this way is not a circumstance we would wish for them. They are capable of happiness, and clearly whatever they have done to you is not the way of going about their happiness. And we can hope that they find their happiness in ways that doesn't sacrifice yours. And thank you, Timothy, for your heart me you sent a minute ago. Hare Krishna. And I love the way you clarify all that, VM. Letting go of what the pain they're suffering that they projected onto you. Understanding what the verb forgiveness, to forgive, means is another thing. Many times people come to us and, oh, please forgive me, please, I want to be in your life. Please allow me to engage in this way with you again. But if we believe that that's what forgiveness means, then they have shared their misunderstanding with us. Oftentimes, people who ask for forgiveness aren't really asking for forgiveness. They're asking for permission to do it again. But that's not what forgiveness means. Forgiveness means that we give them the benefit of the doubt of making a mistake that they did not intend on. But the boundaries can absolutely still be set. The boundaries can be upheld. We can keep them out of our life, but forgive them for what they did when they were in our life, without giving them permission to do it again or validate their behavior. And thank you, Crossfires. And thank you, Vince of York, for being with me on the podcast yesterday. Yesterday we didn't have a live stream because I was on a multi-panel podcast with the bearded mystic, Rahul, and other participants, including Vince of York. So if you want to check out that discussion, it's currently linked in my Instagram story. So if you navigate over there, you can watch it. And Vince of York shared some wonderful perspectives on Advaita Vedanta when it comes to the nature of interpreting scriptures, the nature of preparing ourselves for liberation, these sorts of topics from the standpoint of the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal spiritual practice. And thank you for your heart me and Tiny Diny too. Yippee! And Annie MJ, thank you for your pair of roses and your pair of ice cream cones. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Pauline, for your rose too. VM, you share that you're so firm on your boundaries now. No one can hurt you anymore. You won't let them. Learning the skill of setting boundaries is so helpful. And learning when and where to be vulnerable also is a great skill that balances out that. I don't know if you can. There's a huge rip in my jammies at the bottom of the screen. You can't see anything, but yeah, just a massive hole here. They're still comfortable. Where's the cat? Where's the Sandy? Sandy, 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 Sandy.
I'm just taking a leaf out of here.
Hi.
Hi.
He's not in frame yet. Who's that? Sandy, hello.
You're so cute. All right. Let's go in the catio that you built me.
I expect to see the Sandy sticker from the subscribers. Yes, there we go from Danzuela. Thank you. Mason, you shared that spirituality saved your life from addiction and alcoholism. That's amazing. Spirituality is a very practical way of being, and it can shed light on any and all aspects of our life. I'm so happy to hear that you were able to persevere through these things, and what a wonderful example you are for others. Oh, I love that, Kaylee. You share that your own mistakes have helped you lower expectations for others and make forgiveness easier. That's humility. It's beautiful. No, this is the only platform I'm currently broadcasting on, Crossfires, and according to the bit rate that's at the bottom of my screen, it appears that on my end the connection is stable. But on TikTok's end, I don't know. Aw, Mason, that's a beautiful, beautiful pair of sentiments you shared. You thank your higher power every day for keeping you sober. And oh my goodness, there's a little bug on this flower. Just a little white dot, maybe 1 pixel on your screen. I don't know if I can move the flower in time for them to... Oh, I think they've moved. Who knows where they are inside? Oh, they're on the inside now. It's blurry, but they're the white dot at the bottom. You are significant, little bug. There are so many beings in the world, and you add to them all. You're important, and it looks like you're dancing now, shifting back here. That's cute. I feel like we're having a moment together. And you're wagging your little tail. I love you. I wish you guys could see this, but he's so small, I don't think he'd be in focus. He's going right and left, just looking at me, wiggling his tail. Oh, you spin in circles now. That's fun. Thank you for being here, Bug. And thank you, Jill, for your ginger man. Hari Om Tat Sat. The Bug is a paid actor? Are you paid to be here? Oh, sorry, my plosive pee was so powerful that it blew you away. I gotta be careful with my words. Wow, my words blew him away. Okay. What a reminder from Mother Nature to be softer with my words. Danzuela, you shared that you just carried a spider in your hand from the inside to go live outside. You never held one in your hand. Isn't that wonderful? My mother does that all the time. She just feels connected enough with the spider that she can just reach out her hand and let the spider crawl into her and bring her outside. Now, Justin Eckhart, you ask, how would I help someone go into the seat of the self? I love that. Let's explore the seat of the self. The seat of the self. Seat in Sanskrit is asana. Oh, you jumped on me. Now I gotta be careful with my movement so I don't squish them. I don't know where they went. You may have heard of the word asana from yogasanas, the seats, the postures in yoga. The word for self is atma. Atmasana is the seat of the self, relating to atmanishta, abiding in oneself. To abide with yourself means to feel the essence of who you are, what you are, and all things around you. Let's take another example. This is a great example from the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Many of you have heard of his relaxing words before. You can take refuge in anything. You can take refuge in a tree, because the whole of the universe is in a tree. He says, when I see a tree, I look into the whole universe. Can you? When I see a tree, I see all the soil. That's a part of it. I see the sun. Without the sun, there would be no tree. I see all the clouds, without whom there would be no rain. The interconnectedness of this whole universe is necessary for the tree. Therefore, when I look into a tree, I see the whole universe. When I can be with a tree, I am in the kingdom of God. I am in the pure land of the Buddha. I can take refuge in a tree, because in a tree there is the whole universe. What's so special about a tree? Nothing. That's the best part. You could take refuge even in a leaf of the tree. You could take refuge in a flower. If you're really depressed, you can even go up to a flower and surrender your whole being to just this flower. And because the flower is the whole universe, you can instantly be at peace. You can enter the kingdom of heaven, the pure land of the Buddha. You can do this with a rock. You can do this with a friend. You can do this with your pillow, your stuffed animal. You can do this with yourself also. We can surrender ourselves unto ourselves. Abide within ourselves. Become a witness to the whole universe. There we sit before all of creation. Recognize ourselves to be a reflection of it all. G to infinity, you always hug your trees. They take all your sadness away. The spirit of the universe is there within everything. And thank you, MS Solista, for your rose. I know your connection is struggling, but I am with you always. We are connected to everything on this planet. What a wonderful reminder, Mason. Alice, you share to just look at the leaves and how they look like blood vessels, and our eyes look like nebulae, and our brain looks like the cosmic filaments. No, Mahina, you share that there's a big apricot tree in your backyard that cradles you. I love that. And Kalinox, you ask, are you connected to everything? Everything that you know of. You are connected by the mere witnessing of it. They are available. They are made accessible through your experience, through your consciousness. Redhead Rage, you like to think mushrooms and mycelium represent that interconnection so beautifully. You always paint them. I love that. Isn't it so that the largest organism on the planet is a singular mycelium network in the soil? I think that's fascinating. Smile, you ask, was I always into meditation? I think as children we have ways of being meditative that we don't need to. That actually all of us adults trying to meditate, they're just trying to emulate what children naturally have access to. So no, only later in life have I needed to become intentionally meditative because I can lose my sense of self. But there are great examples like little Lily, your granddaughter Mahina, whom likes to show us what meditation looks like. Little yoginis. Michelle, you shared that you used to run around kindergarten, hug trees, and sing "Once Upon a December" to them. I love that. You have a very precious inner child, Michelle. G to Infinity, you shared that you really enjoy being connected to us all. And lightning just came out as you texted that. The Dastu. That is what lightning speaks. The vocabulary of lightning is very simple. The Dastu. That's what lightning says. Lightning says, "It is so. It is as it is." Tadastu. Sometimes God is described as the lightning standing still. You know that idiom, capturing lightning in a bottle. God is like that lightning. All the power and the current is there, but yet it's perfectly still at the same time. Like if you took an infinitesimal moment and extended that unto eternity, that would be a similar feeling to that of the source of all things. And thank you, Cat Lady, for your community fest. Hare Krishna. And Yana, thank you for your heart me. I like that, Greg Archie. No casket. Let me decay into the earth and be one with it, as we have for centuries. Angel dear, you were wondering, where have I gotten all my Indian mannerisms from? Well, from many great Indian spiritual teachers that I look up to. They happen to be Indian in geography. But what has taken place in India over thousands of years is a gift to the whole world. That is something known as the Sanatana Dharma, Sanskrit words which mean the eternal, the universal practice. It truly is an all-inclusive tradition in which everyone in the whole world is a part of. Our words like karma, yoga, mantra, guru, Buddha, all these Sanskrit words come from the Sanatana Dharma, and they just can't be translated in any other context because the essence that is there in this lineage, which just so happens to be in a place in the world that today we call India. There is no other tradition like it. Sanskrit is an ancient language, and it's a language which has given words in almost every language around the world. Some people call Sanskrit the mother tongue of humanity. So many languages have descended from Sanskrit. In many ways, Sanskrit is the mother tongue of English too. No, literally. Mother. The word mother in English comes from the Sanskrit word mata. It's also where we get the word matter and matrix, maternal, material. All these words relating to the mother. Mason T, you're wondering, what advice would I give to someone trying to find a higher power? Understand that you are the power of that which is higher. A bit of a misnomer this is, higher power. The highest self has no power. It is totally beyond action, that which is still complete within itself. We call that highest being the Shaktiman, the source of all power, Shakti. You are a part of the Shakti. You are the potency, the energy. As Gregor has put it, you are the power from on high. You have been empowered. There's the higher purpose. I believe this would be more accurate to describe the source. The source is the highest purpose. But the highest power is given unto thee to make a difference in the world. Understanding this purpose empowers you. That the highest of all beings is infinite, so that you are able to go beyond the finite and continue reaching towards infinity. It's a good question, Mason. There are powers greater than ourselves, though. Teamwork, through collaboration. Two minds think better than one. The more we include others, the more powerful we become. Hello, dear Anna. Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you, Hybrid Jen, for your disco love. Hari Om Tat Sat. Angel, you are wondering, how many languages do I speak? Just one. And that's Yam. I be yammin'. I be speaking Yamlish. It's my own custom dialect. One that's inclusive to words from many different traditions. And I think the only language I'd feel comfortable having a conversation is English. Although I could speak pretty fluently with a baby, I'd feel comfortable yapping with a baby. I have some of the deepest conversations with babies. You just can't translate some of the words into English, you know. If you fully knew what Goo Goo Gaga means, your mind would be, you know. It's similar to Prakriti and Purusha, Goo Goo and Gaga. They go together as the potential, the unmanifest and the manifest, you know. We're talking about the balance between these cosmic forces, yin and yang. Good translation. Babies are big philosophers. Yeah, we really go down in language from there. It's true though, mothers do know. That's their special power. It's amazing, you know. Sometimes you hear a kid just speaking gibberish, and the mother just pulls out something from her purse, and it's a granola bar, and gives it. It's like, how did you get that? It's, you know, it wasn't, Mom, can I have a granola bar? It was, wah, abugnabla. And the mother goes, oh, that's right, the granola bar in the purse. Here you go, dear. It's amazing how they do that. Speaking of undeciphered languages, I was thinking of the language of the crows the other day, as a crow was in a tree on the other side of the backyard, and I was listening to the precise structure of their caws. That's C-A-W-S, not C-A-U-S-E, caws. Their crows and their caws. There's a rhythm to it, and they alternate between about 3 different pitches or so. There's clearly information expressed, not in the sound of the caw, but in the pitch and in the rhythm. It's something very musical, something that You couldn't transliterate with an alphabet, but you could on a music sheet with the rests, half notes, and differences in pitch. I think it's beautiful that birds literally sing to each other. They deliver information through differences in pitch and rhythm, since their mouth isn't structured enough to have different phonetics. All they can vary is things like volume or pitch or rhythm or the space between sounds. I agree, Redhead Rage, that nature is full of patterns if one pays attention. There truly is a language going on around us, one that we're somehow too ignorant to understand. Have any of you heard of the wonderful John Butler, who gives such wonderful unintentional ASMR? I was listening to him the other night, and he shared with me a very beautiful but sad thought. That for most people and for most animals, there's something about the presence of a person that animals just don't want to be around a lot of the time. So we ask the question, what is it that's shameful about us humans that really scares other fellow animals away? How have we lost that connection with nature, where the birds don't want to be around us, the squirrels, the bunnies, the deer, the fish, that we just go near to them and they run away? I think that's a very humble idea, a humble inquiry to question what this is about ourselves. And Hybrid Jen, you share that your nonverbal son, you noticed animals go by him, but everyone else, no. And that's a lovely observation. Very pure people. Maybe it has to do with what's going on in their mind, or where their eye contact goes, or how they carry their movements. But every now and then you meet that Disney prince or princess in which animals just come up to them. My mother is like that. Wherever she goes, even if it's an octopus climbing up by the shore to see her, or an eagle landing next to her, or a hummingbird landing on her shoulder, or butterflies, or whatever it is. Your mother is like that as well, Rhiannon. It's amazing, isn't it? It's funny, Tatvamasi. Mahina, you share that your nephew spoke something like Japanese when he was 3, and your 2-year-old understood him. That's fascinating. Dreamweaver, you share that one of your favorite Rumi poems has to do with bird language. Oh, how wonderful. I wonder if it's in this book somewhere. I found a poem about a bird. I don't know if it's about its language, though. I'm sure it'll come at the right time. Mason, you're wondering, why do I think only some people are empathetic? I believe that qualities of a person, they vary over time, and they come in various forms and intensities. I believe we are all as empathetic as we have the capacity to be in this moment. But for many people who go through things such as trauma, where being empathetic has led them to being vulnerable, and that vulnerability has led to trauma, people can close off from these natural human things because they have been hurt in the process before. That right now they don't have the emotional availability to take on what other people are feeling because they can hardly process what they're feeling. And if we give these people a lot of love and space and time to process, and through things like therapy and healing and shadow work, they can begin to take down the walls they put up to protect themselves and allow themselves to be more vulnerable around others' emotions. This is my opinion. We all have the potential to be deeply empathetic, but it's scary. I could never force anyone to do so because that would require opening themselves up to pain, to suffering. It's very brave to be empathetic. Very brave. Mars, you share, for you, your trauma has made you significantly more empathetic. It's interesting how we all experience trauma in different ways. And we can utilize our trauma exactly in that way also. Trauma just means that you were really sensitive to something, perhaps oversensitive. And you can either embrace that sensitivity and see the beauty behind it, or close yourself up from that sensitivity to protect yourself. But being human really means to embrace our sensitive side. It means to open. And thank you, Hybrid Jen, for another disco love. Hare Krishna. Mason, you share that since you got sober, your empathy has become very strong. That's a very humble perspective and a practical one too. We definitely use many substances to dull our sensitivity to things because we feel too sensitive to it. I know that a lot of alcoholics, for example, are actually the most sensitive people on the planet, and that's precisely why they self-medicate, because they just can't bear the pain of the whole world without getting anxious. But there are healthy coping mechanisms that allow us to bear this pain and be sensitive to it without shutting down. Learning this, becoming sober, can absolutely open us up and increase our emotional availability and carry feelings without being weighed down by them. I love you too, Ali. Marcy, you share, your fly is a bird for falling asleep and waking up in the same live stream. Well, good morning. The bird language poem, Rumi, is called Iramul Kais, which is the king's name in it. It's very interesting. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that in the most accurate way, but thank you for sharing. Marlon, you ask, why do I have to be so kind, caring, and loving towards people? You don't. Kindness comes in two forms. There's kindness, that which we expect from others, that some people feel entitled to. But that's not genuine kindness. That's an insincere kind of kindness that becomes expected by others. Sincere kindness sometimes means acting in a way that other people don't even recognize as kind. For example, people pleasers act in many ways that appear to be kind, but actually deprive people of their independence. For example, people pleasers take on all the problems of those around them, and therefore those around them become dependent, and thus they never learn to solve those problems and learn from it themselves, which would be the kind thing to allow them. People who are dependent on you, when you give them their independence, they might feel like you're being unkind to them, but only because the kindness they received from you before was in contradiction to kindness. When we provide people the platform to grow by themselves without relying on anything outside themselves, that is a genuine kind of kindness. A kind of kindness. That's funny. It's that kind of kindness that comes naturally, and you don't have to be kind in any insincere way. Hello, Lucy. Marlon, you shared that. Yeah, being taken advantage of by people you had the least expected, that's a kind of kindness that you should not feel obligated to engage in. If your kindness is being taken advantage of, then that's not actually kindness. Because it's only fueling their insecurity, their dependence on unhealthy things. Kindness would never do these things. What appears to be kind might actually be fueling a person's insecurities. So it's important to refrain from giving what appears to be kindness to others, to people that only take advantage of them, and they ultimately suffer in the process due to their own insecurities, due to taking advantage of your kindness. So, if kindness means practicing ahimsa, the act of causing least harm to everyone involved, well, people taking advantage of kindness is a way that causes harm to themselves and to other people in their life when we validate it. So, to really engage in kindness sometimes means to engage in a sincere way which does not validate people's ability to cross your boundaries or fuel their insecurities. Good question. Thank you, Willie D. Chris, you had asked, is kindness the same as compassion? Well, it certainly depends on your definition. I don't believe that there's one way to define kindness or compassion. At the very least, there's a big overlap. Sarah, you ask, how can you know if you are a genuinely good being rather than just being good? By dissolving your concept of being good entirely. I don't consider anyone good or bad, including myself. I consider myself someone who makes lots of mistakes. But making mistakes isn't a bad thing. We can learn from those mistakes and continue to strive for more and more inclusivity in our actions. And that's not good either. Good and bad, these are limiting words actually, because the full breadth and depth of the human experience goes far beyond being good or bad. Goodness is your inherent quality as a being. As long as you are continually striving to be humble, to learn from your mistakes, to take accountability, to see the good in others, and continue to work on ourselves, then that's the most you can do. You can say that a truly good person will never consider themselves as a truly good person. Why? Because a truly good person knows that there's no true way to be good. There's always another way. There's always some way that we can continue to increase our ability to be a servant of others, to love, to be patient, to accept. It's funny. Goodness is a paradox, because to be good implies that you don't see yourself as quite there yet. But that's not to mean you're missing something, that you're not a good person, that you're bad. It just means that goodness is a process. It's a journey that we're all a part of. And you never arrive. That's another thing. We never arrive suddenly. We wake up one day, oh, I'm a good person, finally, after so long. So too, a person never suddenly stops being in their old habits. Both are processes that go on forever. Everything in this life tapers off infinitely in both directions. It's a smooth tapering out to infinity and vice versa. As we taper away from our bad habits, we never quite get away from them. And as we taper into good habits, we never quite settle into them, but we can always go closer and closer to goodness. And accepting the now means that you accept that you are growing here and now. Thank you, Ragnhildur, for your trio of roses. And Lich, thank you for your rose. I need to straighten my back. Just the same with that virtue too, with intelligence, Greg RG. Like how people would say that a true genius would never claim to be, as they realize they always have more to learn. The true master is forever a student. And for as long as you consider yourself a master, you are still very much a student. Greg RG, you share that you've heard of a funny little way to keep good posture. Imagine you have a string coming from, drum roll please, wait for it, coming from where? Oh, I love that too, Greg RG. Perfection will admit imperfection. Imperfection will admit perfection. And yes, Mason, humility, being humble is of the utmost quality. I also like what you shared before. It's crazy how the brain hides traumatic memories but then pops back up later. We hold them back with the promise that I'll only be able to process this later. I don't have the emotional toolkit yet. And every time our traumatic memories pop up, it's like they're asking us, can you please think about me, process me? Do you have the tools yet? I would love to show you what there is to grow from, learn through, what teaching there is in this memory. But we keep going, no, not yet. I don't have the toolkit ready to deconstruct this memory. So we push it back down. But one of these days, a traumatic memory is going to arise. And we take a deep breath and we go, I'm ready to take a little bit of it on. I'm ready to sit with this memory and process part of it in hopes of learning from it, growing from it. All right. The string comes from the top of your head and it is being pulled. I like that. Willie D, you ask, should we try to be consumable to all people or just live our lives ignorant? I feel like this is a loaded question. Of course, the alternative is never ignorance. But there are two kinds of ignorance. Because there's two kinds of knowledge. There's higher knowledge, which is the knowledge of spirit. And there's lower knowledge, which is the knowledge of the world. When we say ignorance is bliss, we mean ignorance of the world. We do not mean ignorance of spirit. If you're ignorant of spirit, then you could have all the knowledge of the world. You could be the best scientist. Many PhDs, many degrees in so many fields contributed to various aspects. You could have all this worldly knowledge, but still be unhappy. Spiritual knowledge is what is both sufficient and necessary for blissfulness. Worldly knowledge, it comes and goes. It doesn't mean that being aware of the world is going to make you suffer, or being unaware of it is going to take you from your bliss. It's just to say that it's secondary to spiritual knowledge. Now onto your question of being consumable. Let me put it like this. If a part of you can be taken by others, then was it ever really a part of you? Or, alternatively, was it really taken from you, or do we just believe that it was taken? Why do I ask this question? Because whatever you truly are, how can it be taken from you? It would be a logical paradox for yourself to be taken from yourself. If someone takes you somewhere, you go along with them. You're still there, wherever you're being taken. If you're talking about yourself as being separated from yourself, well, now we've really run into a contradiction. Because wherever you are, there you are. You are always there with yourself. So your true self cannot be taken from you. But we have many possessions that we identify with, and then when they get taken from us, we feel like a part of us leaves us. What really happens is that a possession that we have held on to, that we have grown attached to, leaves us. And we suffer not separation from ourselves, but having to acclimate to being detached from this. And it is in the process of acclimation, of coming back to the place of non-attachment, that we struggle. Does this mean that we should be content with people taking things from our possession, though? No, of course not. If we have been given things for us to make use of, then we should make the most use of them. We should generate wealth and protect our resources, but for the purpose of giving them later. If they're not ready to be given, then they're not ready to be given. Everything we own is like a flower. Right now we have seeds for flowers to blossom, and when they are blossomed, then we can give these things away. Until then, we need to keep good care of them. You know, like a child, you wouldn't just give a child away to a partner, whatever. Not until you know they are a blossomed flower. Then you can share them. I don't know if any of these analogies are hitting. Thank you, Dibishore, for your rose. And Anna Poles, thank you for your rose and Tiny Tiny. Yippee! Michelle, have I eaten well today? Let's see, my mother gave me one little piece of sushi. Well, it was a big piece of sushi actually, but it was a singular piece of sushi. It was a little fried bowl that it looked like a little fried bowl with rice in it and avocados. It was very nice. And that was enough to keep me going. I don't know if you guys know this, but before I do my lives, I try to keep my stomach relatively empty, because my mind is working best when the stomach is empty. I don't know if you guys know this, but people are at their peak performance when their stomach is empty, but not when they're hungry. Being hungry and having an empty stomach, two different experiences. When you're hungry, you can't think straight. But if you're not hungry and your stomach is empty, then you have all the energy that would have gone towards digestion redirected to the brain, to the heart. So you're able to connect that much more. And so my answer for you is, I don't eat that much before my live streams, but intentionally so. Then I have a nice big meal after my live streams. But thank you for caring about my diet and the food in my tummy, Michelle. I love that, and it's such a sign of love to care about another person in that way. And on the contrary, when our tummy is full, oh, it's hard to connect. It's hard to think clearly also. We just want to have a nice nap. Thank you, Robert, for your rose that you sent a minute ago. Radhe, Radhe. And Tom, terrific. Thank you for your dancing flower. Hariom Tat Sat. And thank you, Kent and Lisa, for your heart me and hand hearts. Here's some for you both. And thank you for reminding me, Marlon, drinking water is a good thing to do. And you can relate with that. Every time you eat, it feels so strange and disconnecting. It can scare you. A lot of our energy gets redirected towards our digestion, which can really change how our mind is feeling, since now some of our mental faculties go into survival mode as our other faculties are being energized instead. Energy is a scarce resource. Either we're in fight or flight, or rest and digest, or something in between. But it's hard to be multiple of those states at once. Not without a good energy source, at least. I'm happy you like the shirt, Jai. And Marlon, you said that any time you eat, you feel bloated and sleepy. Yes, a good way to counteract that, if it's something that you would like to, is to eat more sattvic foods and eat in smaller portions. That's not to say you have to eat less overall, but just divide up your food over the course of a day, where you're not wolfing down a whole meal 3 times a day, but you give yourself some nutrients over the course of the day. You know, maybe you eat half your dinner at 5 o'clock and the other half closer to 7 o'clock. I don't know. You can space out your meals. For most of human history, we just eat when we're hungry, or when we can. It's because of the 9-to-5 workforce of capitalism that we really had a meal before work, a meal halfway through, and a meal afterwards. But this is not necessary, especially if your work has a nice eating policy where you can snack on the side, or if you are not in a position where you're having to eat at certain times, you can just eat whenever you're hungry. It's said that the biggest meal you should eat should only fill half your stomach, and then another quarter is filled with water, but you always leave 1/4 empty. The most you should ever fill your stomach is 3/4. This is the Vedic perspective. And the kinds of food that we eat as well. Some foods can really take a toll on our metabolism because it requires a whole barrage of different enzymes to deconstruct them. There's some really complicated molecules out there. Animals are really complicated beings. The genetic code that makes up humans has high entropy, unlike plants, which has low entropy, which means that the kind of proteins that our DNA codes for is something that's really high information. They often interlock in ways that require totally different enzymes to digest, that require a lot of energy. Eating more literally simple foods, and by simple I literally mean on a molecular level where it doesn't require much to digest, can really make you feel energized even in the moments after you finish a meal. D to Infinity, you share that traditional Chinese medicine also emphasizes not to drink cold water with meals. Yeah, in the yogic tradition, it's best to eat food that's plus or minus 10 degrees from your body temperature. So your body is warm. 37 degrees Celsius is warm, but it's not hot. It's also not cool or cold or room temperature. It's good to have nice warm food that's about the same as your body temperature. I believe the reasoning for this is because either your body will have to expend energy, resources to heat up the temperature difference, because whatever you eat changes your temperature a little bit. And if you eat something that's too hot, well then your body will have to radiate that heat off, which also acquires energy, even though you're literally getting rid of energy. Jake, you ask, what is truly meant by acting without intention? That's impossible. Unless you're meditating. When you're meditating, it's possible to do something without any intention. you can't be separated from an intention. It's not like you have no intention of feeding yourself when you bring food from your hand to your lips and chew on it. There's no intention of getting nutrients from it. There's no intention of hugging someone with love. There's always an intention associated with our action. However, intention is related to karma, and maybe you heard it in this context, that some intentions, selfish intentions, that is what binds us to our actions, and ultimately we feel pain or pleasure as a result. To be free from the pain or pleasure of our actions means that we make peace with the outcome. That means that we don't intend on any reward or any avoiding of a punishment. We make our intentions simple. We make our intentions selfless. We're going into this action not to gain anything or avoid anything else. Therefore, when it comes time to gain or lose anything, that was not our intention. Sure, we're happy to gain something and sad to lose something, but it doesn't take away from our peace, because our intention was not to have some outcome in particular. That's the nature of karma yoga. It's cutting out selfish intentions for reward, for gain of reward or avoidance of punishment. Alright. I believe we've had a good live stream today. It's 3 hours and the mosquitoes might eat me up. So in the interest of not becoming so itchy that I oversleep tomorrow, because I won't be able to go to bed, I'm going to put myself indoors rather soon. But I would still love to go through some segments with you. For instance, I'd love to ask you all my question of the day. And today I'm wondering, how would you comfort someone who feels as though they are not enough? And thank you, Divini, for your heartbeat. Radhe Radhe. Sometimes we are that person where we feel like we are not enough. Sometimes it's our friend or a loved one or even a stranger who confides in us. Sonia, you share with love, compassion. Can't disagree with that. Yeah. Thank you, Saturnus. And thank you, Sabrina, for your rose. Gregor G, remind them of their accomplishments, perhaps, and remind them they can accomplish more. I love that. I think you're alluding to a very practical way of explaining that the potential is always with you, as it has always been, as it will continue to be. And you are enough in your potential, your ability. Sarah, you share by loving them for what they are now. Communicate that love. That's so pure and so true. Angel, you share by redirecting them to their mindset being the issue. That's a double-edged sword. Because although there's a lot of truth to that, if you've ever felt like you weren't enough and someone pointed out that you were thinking about it wrong, that's just another way of realizing how you're not enough. Oh, I'm doing something else wrong. This is a lesson that I have been taught through past girlfriends who were diagnosed with BPD, borderline personality disorder. that whenever I would remind them of, let's say, their habits of thinking, that would make them feel even worse sometimes, because then they'd feel guilty. So I believe there's a way of doing it without putting fault in them, inspiring them to have a mindset that is conducive to feeling enough, I guess would be the way of putting it, which is just a matter of perspective. Gets the same point across, but I think in a more positive way. Thank you, Van Penguin, for your gingerbread, your cloud bread, your snowboard, and a whipped coffee. Their gifts are always very unique in the story that they convey. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Willie D, you share that you remind them that they are on their own journey and shouldn't compare themselves to others. Classic reminder that I think we all need from time to time. Hello, Demad. Gloria, you share, remind them that it's okay to feel down and that there's so much more to them than what they focus on. They are an entire and a whole person. Oh, I love that. Sadness, you share, remind them that we are all works in progress. There is no destination, just a journey. Stay present. Jake, you share that sometimes you feel it is important to realize why they might feel like that so they can process it. And Marcy, you share by contributing to their preferred love language. Until when it becomes more taxing than you can spare. It's beautiful. Yeah. Comfort always comes with respecting our own boundaries as well. Van Penguin, to my question, is it someone that you love or care about? Well, I should hope that you love those who you care about, and you care about those who you love. So, both. And Gloria, you share, just hold them and tell them they are a whole entire person as they are. I love that. That's beautiful, Gloria. Willie D, you share that everyone has something they're good at, and finding and developing that is what life is about. Nice. Michelle, you share that you found that schema therapy helps with that. BPD related. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look into it so I can be more aware of that. I would love to help understand my fellow BPD brothers and sisters and those in between and beyond. Sadness, you share, it's a story as old as time. People with ultimate resumes still have imposter syndrome. And there's a humble aspect of that, which is very nice, but it can weigh us down too. Mahina, you share that you are empathetic and ask how you can help. Make them see all the good they have done and comfort them. I like that. Thank you, Gloria, for your rose you shared just a minute ago. And Saturnus, thank you for your heart meat, your 37 team bracelets, and a pair of cheer-you-ups. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jake, you love the idea of making sure that they understand you are coming from a place of love first. Absolutely. Hello, Kendro. Thank you. And thank you, Brescia. And thank you, Sonia. You are awesome too. Alright. I am going to pause our introspection into our question of the day. But I thank you all for exploring this concept with me. I think it's very important that we understand all the good that we have already done, all the good that we're capable of doing. Feeling that love and being loved as we are now in this moment, so important. Don Suela, you shared, tell them that their unique way of being is valued and needed in the world. And Redhead Rage, you shared that they may not see the awesomeness in them, but you could be that mirror. And Van Penguin, you shared that you'd comfort them by saying that they are important to you, and that they actually comfort you if they are fine. I love that. I agree, Willie D. You guys are some smart cookies. Well done, guys. Wonderful. All right. Before we end this live, let's do a little reading. We're actually getting close to finishing this book, In Love at Ease. I'm hoping that you will enjoy this passage as we listen together, as I read. We left off in the 5th chapter, which is about how Swamishri was at ease all of the time in various ways. He was also in love, as the title suggests too. Let's see how we can learn from him. Swamishri's clever humor was just one way he engaged with people. He knew when to turn that smile upside down to teach valuable lessons in a different register. In the Indic philosophical system, the theory of 9 rasas, essences or flavors, details the all-rounded experience of the world. Each rasa, and I love that word, it represents a different feeling or mood. Swamishri exhibited these rasas at the appropriate time for the right reasons. It illustrated his ability to fully feel the human experience. The beauty of Swamishri exhibiting these rasas was that he could gracefully shift between them. He rarely displayed the raudra or bhayanak rasas. These rasas emanate a sense of passion, fear, and even anger. However, when he did exhibit these rasas, they were short. They were in short flashes and only to teach a valuable lesson. Swamishri was not an angry old ascetic who was focused solely on the growth of his organization or the projection of a certain persona, but was a socially aware and mindful guru who showed sprouts only of firmness, if and when necessary, or to benefit the spiritual aspirant's progress. For each time Swamishri was unyielding, there were more than a dozen instances where he was forgiving, and that is what made the occasional display of this emotion special. There were 3 reasons that Swamishri showed sternness. First, if there was a lapse in bhakti and seva, of loving devotion and selfless service, specifically towards Hare Krishna Maharaj's murti, which was a divine image that he carried with him everywhere, and he just loved so much. Or for a sadhu, a monk, a major lapse in their vows. Monks often take many vows to dedicate themselves fully to the spiritual path. Second, if there was a lapse for lethargy in serving someone in need or difficulty. And finally, if someone tried to justify a mistake or defend a decision when it was clearly wrong or unethical. For Swamishri, anger was not a mood or a feeling. It was a tool he used to teach and guide because he wanted better for those he met, for them to be better. In the first chapter, I have recounted several instances in which Swamishri briefly disclosed his anger or exhibited a flash of firmness in order to meet with bhaktas, devotees, against the wishes of his attendants. As showcased, Swamishri then quickly returned to his loving nature after the spiritual lesson concluded. His personal attendant, Narayan Charandas Swami, once told me, "The number of times Swamishri showed sternness was negligible compared to the number of times that I would have shown that sternness. Yet, he was fully capable of doing so. It was a last resort for him, and it went as swiftly and instantly as it came." It had only been a few years since Gyan Priyadas Swami was initiated as a sadhu. He had been traveling with Swamishri as a personal attendant in Goa in 1976. It was his responsibility to take care of Swamishri's meals. After the morning sabha, the morning spiritual assembly, Swamishri sat down for lunch at Vishnu Bhai Amin's home. The bhaktas and sadhus, the devotees and monks, had gathered around him. Swamishri insisted that they sit across from him and eat as well. Swamishri enjoyed serving others while he was having his meals, and often paid more attention to their plates than his own meal. Today was no different. Every few minutes, Swamishri would remind Gyan Priyadas Swami to serve the bhaktas with rice, dal, and sweets. The young sadhu would rush to serve the bhaktas and then return to sit by Swamishri and serve him. The back and forth continued between guru and disciple. Swamishri insisted that the young sadhu serve the bhaktas, and the sadhu wanted to serve Swamishri. About halfway into the meal, Swamishri requested Gyan Priyadas Swami to serve the bhaktas warm kansar, which is a sweet made from wheat flour topped with ghee, clarified butter, and powdered sugar. The young sadhu flew through the aisle of bhaktas and hurriedly served them the sweet. He rushed back to Swamishri and squatted in front of him once again. The guru looked up with piercing eyes and asked, "And the ghee? The clarified butter?" Gyan Priyadas Swami let out a sigh, grudgingly picked up a small bowl of ghee with an even smaller spoon, and flew through the aisles again. Just as he was about to sit in front of Swamishri, the guru questioned in an elevated voice and direct tone, "Where is the ghee you served? Which spoon did you use? Was it smooth or lumpy?" Gyan Priyadas Swami showed him the small bowl. Swamishri's voice was even louder now. "How can you serve such lumpy ghee with a small spoon?" Gyan Priyadas Swami explained, "The kansar is warm, so the ghee will melt. Besides, senior monks who trained us in Sarangpur used to say that the ghee should always be served with the back side of the smallest spoon in the kitchen, so that not much is used, to avoid wasting money and resources offered to the mandir and deity." Swamishri was now visibly upset. "Not only are you insulting the bhaktas, the devotees, but you are justifying your behavior. Times were different in Sarangpur 50 years ago. Things have changed now. We are in Goa. It is the bhakta's house. It is his ghee. It is my intention to serve. All I ask of you is to diligently care for God's bhaktas. Is that too much to ask?" Swamishri stood up, washed his hands, and walked through the aisle to serve the ghee himself. Gyan Priyadas Swami recalls Swamishri's booming voice being disappointed and instructive, not agitated or personally insulting. The young sadhu was overwhelmed in the moment, not because Swamishri was angry, but because he had disappointed his guru. He instructed the other attendants to step in for him and then disappeared. He stayed away from Swamishri for the remainder of the day. When the Guru was preparing to go to bed that evening, he asked the other sadhus why his attendant was not to be seen. A sadhu found Gyan Swami and returned with him to Swamishri's room. He entered the room with his head lowered and his hands quivering. Swamishri called him near the bed and held his hands. "Did I offend you? Scare you?" The Guru instructs in various ways. "Do not take it personally. I am not upset or disappointed, but I needed to get the point across. I wanted you to learn what I value. Each of those bhaktas are divine. I see Bhagwan Swaminarayan in all of them. I want each of you to care for them and serve them as you would serve me. There are times to conserve and times to serve and show love. Today is a time to love and share. Also, never justify your mistakes. Listen, learn, and improve. It is how I learned from my gurus. I love you, and therefore am direct with you. Do not take offense. Besides, now I will never have to raise my voice with you ever again." The entire room broke out into laughter. The sadhu acknowledged that if Swamishri had not been stern and got up himself, he would have continued to defend his behavior. Swamishri loved his bhaktas enough to not only care for their meals and needs, but to instill that same care and concern in the sadhus who would look after them in his absence. He was creating a culture of seeing divinity in each other. He knew exactly how to teach it and enforce it, with love, warmth, and even raised voices. Gyan Priyadas Swami states that even today he sees that image of Swamishri standing up mid-meal whenever he feels lax or nonchalance in caring for and loving those around him. To be at ease is to be firm and stern, but only as a last resort. Thank you for listening. We'll pause our reading of In Love at Ease there for now. And I thank you, my dear viewers, for listening with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And Dreamweaver, you share that you feel that reading also answered the question of the day. It did in a unique way, didn't it? Thank you, Hybrid Chen, for your disco love a few minutes ago. And thank you, Sabrina, for your trio of roses too. Now, the longer I sit out here, the more I feel itchy. I think the mosquitoes are all on my back. I got my back turned to them. I go, oh, he's not looking. We can munch on the back. So the longer I sit out here, the longer I will have bug bites. So I think I'll have to do a shorter meditation for tonight. Maybe we can just do a 5-minute meditation together, if that's okay with you all. We can do a guided meditation. I think that would be nice and simple. And thank you, Danny, for your trio of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Anapol, thank you for your rose. And thank you, Mahina, for your rose too. So we'll just end our live stream with a short guided meditation because I want to. And feel free to do this meditation just as you are, even if you're laying down or washing the dishes or painting or cleaning up from your painting. Or if you are doing anything else on the side. We'll just begin a short meditation together. Let us begin by bringing our awareness to our breath, honoring that we are connected to everything else in this world by our breath. On the inhale, we accept what is new, and on the exhale, we let go what is old. Imagine holding the whole world as it is on the inhale, as if your arms could reach around the whole planet and you could give Mother Earth a hug. Say, I love you. And on the exhale, you let her go. And you say, I forgive you. This world has brought us many experiences. And as long as we continue to be a source of love and forgiveness for it, there are many more wonderful and peaceful experiences. And one of them we can have right now, here, together. We are but the representatives of love. The source of love, that infinite, unmanifest potential. Feel the bliss that you have been given to share with others. Sometimes it's hard to feel. Sometimes it's hard to appreciate that there is an untapped source of bliss within us, always. But we have been so caught up in life that we've buried it beneath so many expectations. We can set them aside in this moment and bring on a sense of bliss, rather than trying to find it, rather than trying to discover it. Instead of working towards bliss in this moment, let bliss be the place from where we work. Let happiness and peace be not what we are striving for, but the place from which we all begin. Let us begin each breath in happiness, instead of trying to end up happy. Let us start happy. Let us be that source of love and transport it wherever it needs to go. Let every aspect of our being be a funnel there to take the love in your heart and deliver it where it needs to go. Let our eyes look for sights in which we find places to love. Let our ears give love by listening. Let our nose smell the lovely aroma of the flowers. Our tongue taste the lovely food that we offer to others. And let our skin feel all that which the world feels, so that we may empathize with it. And carry a piece of the world in us, to never forget what there is to love and why your love is needed and why you need to love. Let our speech be there to give love. Let the food we eat be there to share an experience of love and to fuel this body in its ability to carry even more love. Let our feet take us places in order to give love. Let love be the source from which we see, we hear, we eat, we conversate. Let us engage in all aspects of this world from a point of being that source of love. And when you're ready, you may rub your hands together. And place it on your eyes. Feel the warmth. And if your eyes were closed, blink and see the world. Thank you for partaking. Much love. I hope that guided meditation was helpful. Now thank you, Mahina, for your rose you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. And the Phantom, thank you for your heart, me too. Hare Krishna. With that, we have come to the end of today's Sangha. I am very grateful to have had this opportunity to connect with you all. And if there's any way in which I can continue to be of service to you, my direct messages are always open on any other platform in the link tree in my bio. I'm always happy to lend an ear, or I guess an eye, to read messages in my emails or WhatsApp or Telegram or Instagram. I try to spend a few hours every day going through my messages. So don't just consider me some inaccessible personality on TikTok. I truly wish to be there for you in the capacity that I can. Of course, I can't promise to reach you, to reach you immediately after you reach out back to me. But in any way I can, I feel empowered to do so. No, you don't keep me too busy at all. In fact, it's saddening when I run out of messages. I feel like there's nothing more to do today, and I get very bored sometimes. It's one of my favorite things to look forward to today. All right. Thank you, Scott, for your community fest. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Willie D, thank you for your rosa. Jai Sitaram. This live stream will be posted on my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel in case you wanted to get the full experience. It's there for you, as is all of my other live streams. And all the clips and meditations, they have their own dedicated playlists there. They're not live there. You don't get to interact with them live, but there are many benefits that come with a static form, like the ability to pause or replay or skip ahead. May this live stream be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna, the form of the divine I bow to within you. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Shyam, Radhe Radhe. And to answer Mo's question before we go, because it's a nice short one, how do you decide if a relationship is worthwhile? You are the one that gets to determine what is worthwhile. You are the one which makes anything worthwhile. Nothing in this life is a waste of time, as long as you learn and grow from it, which you can do in a good relationship as you can in a not so good relationship. There is always a lesson and a blessing there. And with that, I leave you all for tonight. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaskar.